Good evening, everyone, and good morning, everyone. I'm Bhante Chandima, your host today, and you're watching another episode of Dhammapariyesanā series. Today is day number 22. You here, my friends, because you believe that the human potential is nearly limitless, but you know that having potential is not the same as doing something with it. So, our goal with this show, talk show, discussion, interview program, and our organization, Parisota, is to introduce you to the people and ideas that will help you actually execute on your dream. Today, we'll be talking about how to dissolve the pain body. I'm sorry, give me a second. I think there's a background noise coming up. Today, we'll be talking about how to dissolve the pain body, mental deconditioning, and spiritual awakening, because we believe that the pain body is an outcome from making uh, not making us deconditioned from our resentments and those previous pains, and how we can attain a spiritual awakening. This is a subject we should all be deeply interested, because it's by knowing how we can dissolve our pain body that we can best ensure the mental deconditioning and spiritual awakening are present. I'm very pleased to welcome Nadika Viswakula for our discussion series today. Nadika is a good friend of mine, but we're not keeping up regularly. But she's a daughter of one of our devout families in Vancouver. She's from Vancouver. All right, to paraphrase Nadika Viswakula, today's guest is one of the greatest thinkers of our generation, because I use that paraphrasing in a way that she has new innovative ideas about spirituality. Nadika is an international love coach. She helps men and women heal past hurt and trauma, allowing them to experience more joy in all the different areas in their life. Nadika prides herself in being an intuitive and a bit of a modern day hippie. I want to ask Nadika, what does she mean by hippie? Because in Asia we have different, interpretations about who is a hippie. She has studied an array of alternative type of healing. I want to know what type of healings are there also that she studied and practiced, that she swears has helped transform her life and the lives of the clients that she works with. She's been an entrepreneur from a young age, which lead her down several different paths of financial success. But she says there was always a small piece missing from the puzzle. As Nadika explored, seeked, and delved deeper within herself, she connected with the true essence of her being and discovered her purpose, which is what ultimately enhanced her levels of love, connection, and joy. She mastered bridging the gap from getting what she wants to attracting what she deserves. She claims that what she's attracting into her life is far grander than what she ever imagined possible for her life. She also says she learned how to get out of her head and into her heart. This is how she now chooses to experience life from a very heart centered space. And in terms of her contact, her personal brand is called Naked Love Coach. And I think Nadika will share with us what is meant by this particular word, naked, because we have different other manifestations of that word. You can find her in all social media at Naked Love Coach, and she has a website. I can show you that website here. That is www.nakedlovecoach.com. Please join me in welcoming Nadika to the discussion series. Nadika, welcome. Thank you for accepting my request on behalf of Participant discussion series. Nadika, the first thing, because you can see the topic for today is how to dissolve the pain body, mental conditioning, and spiritual awakening. So I want to separate this dissolving part from mental conditioning. We know that pain body is an intensification of our ego in the form of negative emotion. And I know definitely there are a lot of resentments, past habits and things, bad memories. They are all inside of this particular intensification of ego. And what we are trying to talk about is that because we know that they have been conditioned, those resentments have been conditioned, so we want to decondition those mental traps, or what you call finally by mental pain body, and awaken us, self-realize. So as far as I know, the term pain body was coined by someone called Eckhart Tolle. I think he's a Vancouver-based spiritual, I guess, spiritualist. And I think he has written a lot of books, The Power of Now and many other books. And he's the one who has coined this term. And I don't see there are other very, suitable words for this subject to understand what is a pain body. And we also call this pain body as suffering, past pain, painful emotion energy, pain energy. Vasana is another term in Sanskrit or Pali, the previous habits or pain consciousness. So let's stick to calling it the pain body. So, and we know that the manifestations of this pain body as anxiety, anger, depression, and all the other negative emotional states. So my first question to you, Nadika, is what is a pain body? What is a pain body? How do you view that?
Okay, thank you so much for the beautiful introduction, and thank you for having me here today. What I wanted to start off, I wanted to have set the tone and have a little bit of fun with everybody today. And thank you, Bhante, Chandima, for the beautiful introduction. But I want to start off by saying that is not really who I am. And that I want to set the tone with that. So all of those things that Bhante Chandima said about me is true, but that is not the true essence of who I am. I'm so much grander, so much bigger than what we can put even into words. But for the purpose of teaching and having fun and playing with this topic a little bit, I want to describe what I mean by that. So the pain body is sort of like a t-shirt that we wear. And let's say this t-shirt appears to be a part of my body. However, it can be removed. And who I truly am underneath the covering, the t-shirt, the mask, some people call it a mask, the true essence of my being is pure conscious energy, pure consciousness. So the pain body is the t-shirt in which I wear, and which answers the question who I think I am or who I believe myself to be. So for example, our belief system of who ourselves, sometimes our traumas and our past experiences can be interpreted, and then we wear it as a tattoo. And I'm going to give you a real life example of someone that I've worked with in the past. And I had a client who had 5 different PhDs, and she was coming to me because she was feeling unhappy. And I don't like to use labels, but she came to me feeling depressed and having a hard time finding inner joy and happiness. And one of the first questions when she gave me her story and she gave me her titles that she has, the first question I asked her is, do you believe that you're smart? And the answer she gave me almost immediately is that she does not. Now, I don't know if you know many people, but in my life, I've not met many people that have that many PhDs in their life. And so we delved a little deeper on where her belief that I am not smart came from. So when I talked about the t-shirt just a couple of moments ago, that t-shirt has these core beliefs that believe that I am, who I think I am. I am not good enough. I am not worthy. I am not lovable. I am not smart. These are all core beliefs that our pain body holds in the perception of who we think we are, separate from who we truly are, our true conscious state of being, our inner higher self. So as I was exploring with this lady, about her belief about not being smart, she went back into her childhood, and she was able to recall a memory where she was in the kitchen trying to pour herself a glass of milk from a big 4-liter jug. Now, just imagine a small, young 3-year-old body trying to be independent, which is a part of our development at that stage, and trying to pour herself from this big, heavy jug of milk. So her dexterity is a little bit off, and she spills this 4-liter jug of milk everywhere in the kitchen. Now, pardon me if this is a swear word, but this is what actually happened. Her mom screamed out, "What are you, stupid? Look at this mess you made." Now, the mother may not have, now she's also experiencing this from her own pain body. So her intention may not have been negative, but what this small child, the small 3-year-old child, programmed within herself, and she did it with her own free will, this is a part of her karma or her lesson, was that she put on her t-shirt that she is stupid. So what did she go out to prove to herself and the world? She went out and got PhD after PhD after PhD to prove to herself and the world that she is not stupid. Did it work? Because when at the time in which she came to me, she was an adult in her 50s. And when she came to me, she was unhappy. So did going out into the world to cover up this secret that she's been holding in her pain body that she is stupid, has it served her to go and cover it up with a mask after mask after mask of PhDs and being a doctor? Did her trauma get healed from there? She was still experiencing life from her pain body. So what we want to do is we want to go beneath the pain body and connect to the true essence of who I am, the higher self, the elevated level of consciousness. So I hope that example really clarifies for people that she herself is not stupid, but her t-shirt that she was wearing had printed on it, that she printed herself on it. I also want to acknowledge that this is our free will that we are working with. So that belief that she has of herself, she willingly put on herself from her level of consciousness at that time. And that level of consciousness can change at any given point in time. And the person that changes it is you. You are in the driver's seat of your experience.
Nadika, it's really good that you separated out pain body from true body. And I'm just wondering about your example, like a woman with 5 PhDs, she was someone who was really frustrated about her path and contacted you. And I mean, like, we don't need to generalize that someone who is earning a PhD is having the same, atmosphere in his or her life. So what do you think, like, just to get an introduction of this, specific area of the subject, like, do we need a certain level of conditioning in our life? Or how do we balance out? Because otherwise we are going to say that conditioning is really bad and no conditioning is important. So how do we draw the line between conditioning and a pain body? Is it possible for someone to understand one's pain body while maintaining a certain level of mental constructs, like conditioning thing? I understand, I think our watchers understand about your example, but I'm just wondering, because a lot of people, they want to study, they want to be educated, but they want to study for different reasons. In that case, there are women who wanted to, acquire PhD by PhD, right? No, I mean, what if someone who is an ordinary person who wants to earn a PhD or a higher degree, but that person thinks that I can balance out my mental constructs, which could be the genesis of origin of a pain body one day if I don't balance it out. So what is your advice what is your advice for someone who wants to balance out mental constructs and the pain body? Or should we all, walk away from any level of, what do you call, pain bodies? Is it possible for someone to keep a level of mental constructs and continue? And my next question is about the origin of reasons of pain body, but I will get into that after you answer.
Perfect. Thank you so much for bringing up, asking that question, because one of the ways in which I teach this in my coaching practice is the end result never has to change. The path in which we are achieving the end result is what we are intended to observe. And I use my language very, very mindfully. Observe, because I don't want it to be judged. It's never about being right or wrong. It's about observing. And so to answer your question in the purest form is, am I making this choice from a place of fear or from a place of peace? Or you can say love. So love, light, peace, or fear. And how I know the answer to that question is if I am to sit here quietly for a moment and just sit here and ask myself a question, fear will show up with anxiety, uncertainty, and fear, just emotions that are unsettled. And whereas love, light, consciousness, peace come with exactly that. It's non-emotional. It is a silent knowing and a calling that is calling me towards the thing that I'm being guided to, because my guidance system, I want to check in if my guidance system is coming from my higher self or if my guidance system is coming from my fear. So that is how I would simply answer that question.
Yeah, great. That makes sense. Nadika, what do you think about the causes of pain body? Is it only personal or family oriented, or should we take it as a collective thing, or is it a combination of all these?
I do believe that in my experience and in my unraveling and my self-realization and my discovery and working with different teachers is that there is a level. So first of all, I think this is the best way to explain myself. So my belief system is that I am energy and energy and or consciousness. Same language, same wording to describe the same thing. That is borrowing this body for this human journey. And so beyond this body, beyond my name, Nadika, beyond my title as a love coach, beyond being a woman, beyond all of these constructs that I'm experiencing being a human, I am connected to my higher self in such a grander form. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense, Nadika. And like in Buddhism, the main goal of Buddhism is to attain Nibbana. But the Buddha says that there is a gradual level of attainment. The first one is Sotapanna, stream winner. So stream is the path to Nibbana. So we have to first get into the stream. In order to get into the stream, one has to become a Sotapanna, become a stream winner. So the first fetter, I would say, the first thing that one has to overcome in order for someone to get into that stream is personality belief. In other words, we call Sakkaya Ditthi in Pali. That is none other than understanding, ego. Because if we call pain body is an intensification of the body, then we can understand that the flip side of the Sakkaya Ditthi is this pain body. So the more we understand, the more we, observe this pain body from true body, the better we are in a position to understand Sakkaya Ditthi, this personality belief, I, me, myself thinking. And I think you brought up a nice point that we don't own a real body. We just loan it, borrow it from karma or whatever the thing. In the Buddhist teachings, it says that it's also a construct, because based on the past karma or karmas of past lives, we get a body, but this body can be different. So on one side, we can see there's a body which is painful in terms of physicality. Now, when I get sick, let's say from COVID-19 or cough or cancer or heart attack, we can see that there is a painful body. On the other hand, we can see this pain body, our topic for today, on the side of mentality. So it's kind of like, it's mental, it's more mental. So we can see physical pain and mental pain. We also see sometimes the way we handle our physical pain can lead to mental pain. The way we handle our mental pain can lead to physical pain, vice versa. So if the pain body is an intensification, is a higher version of this ego, then we should be able to take care of our emotions. So the next question I'm gonna ask you is, what kind of a emotional culture should we create within us to understand, figure out, recognize this pain body?
Just like everything else, where everything around us is happening around us, and how we receive what's happening around us, it's all neutral. But how we receive it is through our filter, is through all of the beliefs we have written on our t-shirt. So for example, if I have a migraine headache, for example, I have manifested a migraine headache. And there's going to be emotions that come up because I'm a human being. So there, like you said, I have a physical part of myself. But what a lot of us do is we make that feeling mean something about us. So for example, if I have a migraine and it's causing me pain and I now need to stay in bed for the day to nurture this, if I believe that that's what's going to help heal me, then I'm staying in bed because that's the thing that helps me feel better physically. Now I have all these thoughts that slip in from my pain body that say, oh, like now I'm not worthy because I should be doing this, or I'm punishing myself, I'm bad, I need to be going to work, I have this project that's due, this needs to be done. I'm having this experience through my pain body. So what I always invite people to see how life is happening for us and not to us. So what is this migraine telling me? What is it trying to communicate? What is my higher self communicating? Because remember, the end result doesn't need to change. So the fact that I have a migraine doesn't need to change, but how I look at this migraine can change my experience. So am I looking at it like, oh my gosh, this is so annoying. Why did I get a migraine today? It's really throwing me off. I had this to do, this to do, this to do. Now I'm creating anxiety, a lot of pressure, stress into the experience. Or I could see it as a form of service. What is this telling me? Is it telling me that I'm dehydrated, that I need a little bit of time for myself because I have been over serving from outside of my realm? Sometimes we sacrifice our own peace to serve others, and that is not of service to either parties. So really checking in with my inner peace and serving my inner peace so that I can then serve peace in all of my experiences.
Mm-hmm. Great. So I think you've been talking about the way how we, put us, out there, like thinking that it happened to me, not for me. So in a world where we always construct I, me, myself, this thinking, I mentality, how easy is it for someone to deconstruct oneself from an event? I mean, because on one side, we understand the conventional I, me, myself. So I exist conventionally. I need to take care of myself. I am not worthy of experiencing, uh, negative emotions. On the other side, whenever we want to unleash the negativity, we want to deconstruct. So how practical, how easy for someone to do that process?
I find it interesting because from a very small age, we get taught, not that we need to be taught, because I truly believe that innately we are loving, compassionate beings. However, we do get taught as well to use our manners and be kind and compassionate with our community, our society, and the people around us. And I think the missing link is that people have forgotten or lost their way to be loving, kind, and compassionate to themselves as well as to those around us. And that I believe is sort of the missing link, where if anything is happening for me, to just be patient. And Bhante, Chandima, I would love for you to please go into this more detail when I finish sharing this, but because we talked about how patience is sort of the highest level towards attaining enlightenment. So I'll let you speak on that, but patience with ourselves and to just understand that every emotion that comes up and to not judge it. It's not bad or wrong. We've been conditioned or programmed to believe that anger is bad or these things are bad and are punishable. But the thing is that the anger is a part of our pain body. It is a part of our journey. It either came from a past life or from this life in our childhood. There is something where this emotion is present within us. And for us to actually have love and compassion and be curious, how did it show up? Why did it show up? It's here to serve me. So it's just a shift in perception. And if we can start by being patient, loving, and compassionate with ourselves, we can take a moment to actually give ourselves that space to work through these emotions so that they no longer take charge of us. Because the thing that happens when these emotions have such a heavy weight is that they have taken charge of us. We are no longer in our higher self. We are no longer in our divinity. We are no longer vibrating at that high consciousness that we are beyond our body. So we have confined ourselves into our vehicle, and we are just experiencing the small body version of ourselves. But I always encourage people to tune in to that higher part of ourselves, that higher inner knowing, our higher self. So that is the place where if I know who I am in truth, if I connect to my higher self, and then I'm also having a human journey. Oh, where's my camera? Both have an acknowledgement and an awareness and a love for both experiences, because you cannot have one without the other on this human journey. And so to really be present to that, and the path to being present to that is to be patient with yourself, because it will be a process. We don't just snap our fingers, like we're not genies in a bottle here where we're snapping our fingers and then all of a sudden we're achieving enlightenment. It is a journey, and we're all on that path to getting there. And there is no end result, really.
Wonderful. So, Nadika, the thing is, like, we all want to take charge of our well-being. So that's the main aim of all our conversations, discussions, everything. So the reason why we chose this pain body, so we are not supposed to carry pain bodies. We gotta sort of embrace, accept the pain body. That is one thing. I think that is our last part of the discussion. How do we, how do we make sure that we are properly, duly taking care of us in terms of pain body? So one of the things that I wanted to ask you is, because we've been talking about emotional culture. So for someone who has no understanding about spirituality, like someone who is neither of us, who has no basis about this subject, so I understand that they might think that this could be a starting point to look at their negative side, dark side of their mentality, life. So resentment is a big word that is connected to pain body. If you look at the contents of a pain body, most of the reasons and the contents, they are blended with resentment. So do you see any connection between resentment and why people can't get rid of the pain body in terms of emotional culture, because we are always grappling with emotional things?
Yeah, so in my experience, resentment is a disalignment from my connection to my higher self, if that makes sense. So I've got this, this isn't I don't have all my tools with me here, but I'm going to use this as an example. So our conditioning has taught us that we have like a dark side. Okay. And on the other side of this dark side is the lighter side. Okay. So this is who we are taught we are as humans. And what I invite for you to explore is not be attaching yourself to either side of this knowing. Instead, tapping in to the divinity, the highest consciousness of who you are, which is completely separate from this or this. See how these two are attached? They're two sides of the same coin. You are not either of those two things. You are this, which is pure divinity, pure consciousness. And so what I'm saying, so this is going to show up. The darker side is going to be the I am not good enough. And sometimes in today's teachings, they teach us just keep saying I am good enough, which is the other side. So the programming, we're trying to just overwrite the programming. But the thing is we are not either of those things. I am not good enough, nor am I good enough. I just am. I am pure divinity. So when we tap into this knowing of my higher self, it goes far beyond. Like you started off, one of the first things you said, Bhante, Chandima, is that we are so grand and so much bigger than what we can even conceptualize into words. And so I think when we begin to start unraveling and going on our journey of self-realization, it is a big part of it is detaching from the who I think I am, and our conditioning and our program has kept us here. There's a dark and a light, but we are far beyond these two constructs.
Nadika, I think this approach, this example that you're showing to us, that we have these both sides, but I think one of the first initiatives to this example for everyone is to self-accept one's dark side and the other side. A lot of people don't want to accept that they have a dark side. How do you think that they can shift that change?
Going back to what we talked about just about a minute ago, about I believe that I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy, which is the darker side, which is the pain body side, right? And by actually having patience, love, and compassion for this being present, because it is. And that's a reality, like you said. So understanding that, oh, wow, I've got this block that happens to be here, but it's just a figment of my imagination. It does not actually change my worth. My worth is intrinsic. Who I am does not ever change. Who I think I am is just a figment of my imagination. It's real because I think it's real, so I will receive it and accept it as real. However, the truth is far grander than what I think I am. And to actually spend time being patient and understanding this and being compassionate, staying here, looking at the dark side, and then observing the light side, but knowing that you are far beyond any of that.
Great. Yeah, you made that clear. Okay, what about someone who is imminent of his or her death? Do you see any connection between the pain body and the death? So let's say someone is having excruciating pain. The body is very painful. I know in Satipatthana Sutta, in the Buddhist teachings, Buddha says that one has to practice Vedana-Anupassana, mindfulness on feelings. Let's say as the pain arises, one has to reflect on a deconstruction of the pain from oneself. This pain is not me. This pain belongs to the body. Body is not me. As you said, body is a lone thing. I borrowed the body. So what do you think about someone who is imminent of death can work with a pain body? That is one side of this question. The other side is how do the relatives of the person who's going to die can understand the pain body of someone who they really love, part of their life. So these are two sides of the same question.
So as we're talking about our higher self and our infinite consciousness, we talk about who we are. The essence of who we are is beyond this lifetime, is beyond this vehicle that I'm borrowing, this name that I have adopted for this timeline. So if I am so infinite, and if I can transcend space and time, then all other beings must be the same as me, because we are all one. So if that is the case, every single relationship that I'm in, whether it be with a mother, a father, a lover, a child, all of these beings on the highest level of consciousness are infinite beings. And so therefore our connection and our relationship never severs or dies. So death is just me removing this t-shirt. And in the most ideal sense of the word, and in the most enlightened sense, we should be able to die and transform as easily as we change our clothes, non-emotionally. When I change my clothes every day or multiple times a day, I don't have an emotion attached to it. I just go and get a new outfit from my closet and I put it on my body. And that is how non-emotional that transition can be. However, because we are humans, I embrace that I have attachments. And because I have attachments, I then have a perception of suffering attached to me not being able to see that person the same way that I'm used to seeing them. But that is coming from a more three-dimensional experience, from being in this body and seeing that person only in their body that they have chosen in this lifetime. But when I really tap into my highest level of consciousness, I'm actually able to experience humans even from past experiences. Like I have a very, very strong connection to my nephew, and I've actually connected, and him and I have spent another lifetime together, at least one that I'm able to connect with. But it's as I awaken myself, I can start to tap into those kinds of different journeys where I wasn't wearing this outfit or this vehicle or this meat suit. Some people call it, this flesh suit.
Mm-hmm.
I had a different one, and so did he. So when we came in this lifetime, we're having a different journey, but with the same soul or with the same consciousness. Does that?
Yeah, that makes sense. I think we have come to the last section of the conversation. Now, in this conversation, in this part of the conversation, I want to ask you, how do we break the identification with the pain body? So this is very important. I think this is where we're going to talk about what to do. So the first question I want to ask you is, how can we know that there's a trigger of there's a trigger of the pain body? So what are the ways that we can understand, the pain body is coming up? I mean, what is with everything? So how can a pain body be triggered? So this is the question formally. And the second thing is, what can we do? I think we have to break identification with the pain body. I know there are several things we could do. You would, I guess, describe in your own way. You're talking about pure awareness, compassion, self-acceptance. So, overall, how can we know that there's a trigger of our mental, the pain body? How can we know that? What are the ways that the pain body can be triggered? The first thing.
Okay, so the first example I gave you was that we are wearing a t-shirt, and on this t-shirt, I have written my core beliefs about myself. I am not good enough. I am unworthy. I'm not lovable. Whatever my core beliefs are, I have written on my t-shirt. Now, as you approach me from one human to another, you can see what's written on my t-shirt. And just the same, you're wearing a t-shirt and you are showing me what your triggers are, what your pain body carries, what you believe to be true about yourself, whatever that is. I'm not worthy of love. I'm abandonable. I'm not good enough. Most of us have the same pain body that we carry, the same core beliefs, and we keep mirroring it to each other. So what I always say is that everybody here is here to serve me as I am here to serve them. So if somebody else has the power to trigger me, it's my trigger. It's because I've shown them on my t-shirt what my pain body is. And usually I will attract someone that has the same pain body. So they will trigger me as I will trigger them. But my responsibility is to seek within to find my inner healing and to heal that wound and to find peace within myself so that I could then see and experience the person standing in front of me as their true divine self or their highest self. But I do that through my own going inwards towards me and healing my pain body first. So to go into the second question is, I don't want people to be rushing to try and take off the shirt. The first step is to sit with it and embrace it and be patient and loving and compassionate and forgiving of this pain body that you have been carrying for as long as you have.
So that means we have to treat our pain as a way to wake up, and we have to treat our pain body as a teacher, a cleanser, a purifier, which sort of like give us a kind of a green light towards the heightened. I would say that high-minded is the highest level of our consciousness, right? So what about thinking that we need to surrender? We should not resist the pain. So what do you think about resisting pain? Or should we not resist to the pain, or should we lovingly embrace the pain? So what do we have to do with embracing the pain, or just let it go, neglect the pain?
I don't believe in neglecting anything. And I also believe that resistance is disalignment from my higher self. So what I mean by that is if my fear, so a lot of people love when they punish themselves, which is living within the confines of their pain body. They love if they're addicted to, or they believe believe that they're deserving of guilt, shame, or anything like this, they will go out and behave in a manner that will then bring them this emotion. So, for example, if deep down inside in my pain body, I have this feeling, a belief that I am guilty, then, and I'm going to act this out through this fear of death. So let's say your mom is living and well, you share the same space with them, but you choose to have a friction with your mother. And your way of living out this friction is to run away, is to choose to leave the situation because you're afraid to look at it. So you ignore her, you don't spend time with her. Every time she talks to you, you kind of ignore her. And there's this narrative that's playing out. Now, if your mother was to pass on, transcend, or die, I have had clients that have sat there with immense levels of guilt, regret, and a lot of pain that they have escalated within their pain body through this narrative. Now, when we look within ourselves, if we find ourselves resistant to something, afraid of something, move towards it with love, compassion, kindness, curiosity. Just explore what's underneath this. So in a different scenario, you can move towards it and go, you know what, my mom really triggers me. And that could be your reality, and that's okay. It does not mean it's bad or wrong. Observe it and understand, get curious about what's underneath it. What is underneath that trigger? What is it, the core belief that she's triggering within me? Is it that I don't believe I'm lovable? Is it that I don't believe I'm worthy? Whatever that core belief is, if you're able to observe it within yourself, you could actually have a different experience, that when she passes, you could have had a different experience with her while she was here. And then you could also have a different experience with her as she's gone, because you've cleared the gunk, so to speak, from that experience. So the end goal is the passing of your mother, for example, but the two journeys can be really different. One can be full of a lot of resistance and stuck energy, and one could be free flowing and moving, constantly in motion and ever evolving as you grow and ever evolve your level of consciousness.
So in your example about what has happened to many people in terms of the grief related to their parents, is that they have not given some space out of their mental construct, and then they have not given enough due space inside of them to understand their mom, their dad, something like that, right? So
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
It's not so much understanding your mom or your dad, it's understanding what it is that, because it's always, all relationships, like every relationship that I am in is with myself. So if I'm feeling a disalignment with somebody else, it's just an illusion. There is something that this person's pain body is triggering within my pain body. Because as pure consciousness, as pure divinity, we don't see anything wrong with anybody. There's no discordance. There's no distress. There's just pure love, pure peace, pure light. So in this pain body, I am experiencing some kind of a discord with the person across from me, but it's not inside of them. It's inside of me. It's an unhealed wound within me that is being reflected through that person.
But why they can't understand this issue at that time? Is it because they are not they are not practicing enough compassion, self-acceptance? What are the reasons why they are not into that understanding at that time?
Yeah, it just takes a level of consciousness, a level of awakening to really understand that everything that we're experiencing is a reflection of us, and that we could actually, the more we unravel, because the ego works in such a magnificent way, and it's here to help us in our evolution. It's not, the ego has a label that's bad. And the thing is that it's, and I found it really funny because I found this tool, but it actually has horns as a teaching tool, and it's given this perception that it has horns, that it's this evil thing. But the thing is that it's not. It's here to just serve us. But sometimes we have to hear things in a certain way to absorb the information. So it's here for our greatest evolution, and as our relationships. And sometimes our higher self asks for the lesson to come with some turmoil and some challenge and some resistance, but that is just showing us how far away we are from our alignment, from our divinity, from our highest self.
Nadika, if we are to share with our friends 3 words, technical activities that they could do in order for them to dissolve the pain body, what would you suggest these 3 words are?
They're intertwined. So meditation. And I want to say that with meditation, so before you were talking about—
What kind of meditation is that?
So, and that's exactly what I want to get into. I don't believe that there is a wrong way to meditate. I believe meditation is a practice, just like our self-realization and self-awakening, that becomes ever evolved with doing it more and more and more. So if you are brand new and you've never meditated a day in your life, start by just sitting in stillness and focusing on your breath, even if it just means counting to 10, breathing in and breathing out. And don't have an attachment. You don't even have to be sitting down. You don't have to be doing anything specific. It's just about taking a moment to yourself, because for some people that is the first level of meditation, is just to be able to sit with the self for a moment, let alone 10 breaths. So 10 breaths is a stretch. So meditation is so many different things.
Because they are bogged down in a lot of meditation theories outside. That's why they can sort of think about which one is good for me.
And people don't start because they're intimidated by doing it right or wrong. And when I tell people there is no right or wrong way, you can meditate, by looking into the sky and walking. You can meditate in the shower. You can meditate as you're cooking. You can meditate while painting.
I think the most important thing that people don't know what they do is already meditation.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
They take a shower. They don't know there is a meditation in shower. You take a nice shower.
Exactly.
Non-judgmental way of looking at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So one thing is meditation.
So breath was the other thing. I think if you find yourself being triggered by another person or traffic, it could be something happening around you, I often just say, stop and take 3 deep breaths. And then that could be like an instant catch yourself and start to breathe, because breath is so powerful in so many ways, on a metaphysical and physical as well. And the other thing is to trust. Trust is so important. Trust yourself, your inner guide, your higher self, but also trust that there is something bigger beyond this body that is here not to try and punish us, but to actually elevate us. It's carrying us. And so it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to fall down sometimes and you just pick yourself up, back up. There is no need. Perfection doesn't look like anything specific. Perfection is the journey and every step of the way. Perfection is being present in this now moment.
So, adding on to that trust part, like there are a lot of words coupled with trust, self-confidence, there are many other words. So how can someone get started with this trust practice? Is it that they have to believe in what they really have, I mean potentials, or they have to just be positive? Can you be a little bit more technical about in terms of starting this trust practice?
So again, with trust, I want to invite everyone to release their attachment on needing for it to look a certain way. So what I mean by this trust is this inner guide that's within me. So I want to go back in our conversation a little bit, and every single thing that I'm experiencing in this entire world is either through the lens of fear and or love, light, peace, consciousness. So 50-50. And it's very easy to identify which one I'm experiencing it through. Fear comes with a lot of disalignment. It comes with anxiety, uncertainty, turmoil, and peace, love, consciousness all comes from a very level playing field. It comes from a very intelligent knowing that's not just in your brain, it's in every fiber of your being. So everything that's happening around you and everything that you see or experience, every human is coming from, you're experiencing them either through that or that. So that's where you can tell where your intuition is. Sort of like when you feel unsafe, something comes up inside of you to tell you, hey, you're not safe. Trust that, is what I'm saying. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's the second technical thing that you can do. First, meditation. Second, trust. Third, what do you mention? Yeah, another technical word.
But it's really, really important. We forget to breathe. And there's a lot of therapy attached to the breath. I mean, I help people really attain a certain level of consciousness just through their breath. And I am aware that that's a Buddhist practice as well, is to really with the breath, because it is a guide for us.
Yeah, Nadika, in Buddhist teachings, it says anapanasati, mindfulness on breathing, is what the Buddha practiced. And I understand that a lot of people try to breathe through their mouth. But the real practice of breathing is that breathing through your nostrils. That's one thing. And the second thing, when it comes to anapanasati and satipatthana practice, is that the more you refine your breath, the calmer you are. That's a good way of looking at it, because enlightenment, I mean, I'm talking about that big, deep enlightenment. That enlightenment will come to us whenever we can really refine our breath, because whenever we get angry, upset, freaked out, what happens is that the breathing happens so fast. So if we refine the breath, even not as a sitting practice, that has a lot of practical results. That's very important thing. And we have this spiritual awakening as the last section of our topic. So how do you combine this deconditioning of mental constructs, and which has a part of which the pain body has a part of, in terms of our topic? So how can we attain spiritual awakening through these practices of understanding the pain body?
So
what is spiritual awakening to you, actually?
So for me, it's been really interesting, because a lot of times when when I have clients come to me, they are actually not aware of their pain body. They are not aware of their beliefs just yet, not in their conscious mind. It's still in their subconscious mind.
Do they know their true body as well?
I
they
think
never recognize that.
No.
They recognize neither.
Yeah, you can't, because there's Like you said, it's a stepping stone, one before one, putting one foot in front of the other, right?
Yeah.
And so you're right. So first, I believe it's identifying and acknowledging and nurturing the pain body, and then having this conscious awareness of the true body, like you say. And I equate it to, I always give this example in my teachings. Now think of a window. The light is always shining through it. The light is always on, except we can close the curtains and we can open the curtains, and we can open the curtains fully, or we can open the curtains part way and have a little bit of light shine through. And this is our journey to enlightenment. The light is always on, that connection that we have to that consciousness. And our journey is a journey to opening those curtains fully and surrendering to the experience of enlightenment. Mm-hmm. And we are moving closer and closer to it on that journey. It doesn't mean that that's something we achieve here on Earth. And we won't want to be here on Earth because it doesn't match with our human journey. The human journey is here as a part of the evolution to enlightenment.
Nadika, as you brought up in the middle of the discussion that I had talked to you about patience to be the greatest, highest virtue given by the Buddha, and jealousy is the worst quality in Buddhism. So, I wanna combine that to this last point. Now, you also talked about self-realization. So I see this is twofold. Self-realization on the side of secular life, that is what we've been talking so far, because we don't want pain body to take us over. We're going to unleash that negativity to self-awaken. That is one layer of spiritual awakening. On the other hand, as a monk, in terms of deep spiritual practitioners, they can move further. That is to understand real me, previous me. I always talk about this story that happened to the Buddha. Once one businessman walked straight to the Buddha while he was meditating with other people, because his wife and children, they were meditating too. He didn't like it. And he spat on the Buddha 3 times. Buddha didn't say anything. Was quiet, and then he left the place because he didn't say anything. On the following day, the same night, he couldn't sleep because he knew that he did this bad thing. This person didn't say anything. He came back to the temple at the same time on the following day, and then went straight to the Buddha and it said, "You know what? I am the person who spat on you 3 times yesterday." And the Buddha was taken aback and he asked him, "It's not me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me, the person you spat. That was previous me, and previous me does not exist anymore. If I find that previous me, I will tell you apology." This is how, this negativity can be overcome by patience, understanding, awakening. That's a good example, because the easiest thing that we could have done is that we're going to hit back. We're going to react the same way, right? So patience is the best practice, best virtue in Buddhism, because even in common spirituality, if we do not have patience, we can never practice any good spiritual thing. We won't be able to practice compassion, loving kindness, and equanimity, altruistic joy. These are the 4 main pillars of Buddhism. One has to start with loving kindness. Compassion is a step higher than loving kindness, because you can love people that you don't know. But in order to be compassionate, you have to be empathetic first. You have to feel that person's pain, and then to go into the higher level of empathy, which is called compassion. Altruistic joy is much a step higher than compassion, because you should be able to happy for other people. And the highest, in that particular analysis is equanimity. We should be able to balance out, stay balanced whenever we are praised, whenever we are criticize, all that. So I think that is also patience. So patience is the key throughout this practice of dissolving the body. Uh, in order to dissolve the body, we have to decondition our mental culture, our emotional culture, so that we will be able to tap into spiritual awakening, at least on a secular layer, and we can move forward uh, in that perspective so that we can attain the final nibbana, which was given by the Buddhist teachings. Thank you, Nadika. And I think you brought up a lot of good things, and I hope that our listeners, watchers, they learn a lot from you. And I also want you to explain to them what you do, because you have a website that is Naked Love Coach, and people might misunderstand what is being naked, because people understand this physical nakedness, and I don't think you do not mean this physical nakedness. Would you mind sharing with us what does this naked thing mean, and the whole Naked Love Coach form?
Yeah, I came up with Naked Love Coach. I mean, it's so interesting because it's aligned exactly with our entire talk, and we've been sharing for just over an hour here. And I mean, I'll just like read it right off of my website as it describes it perfectly. But what I would love to invite everyone to do, just for 1 second, is if you feel safe to do so, just close your eyes and hear the word naked. And allow any kind of emotion that comes up, any kind of judgment, any kind of thought to arise, and just observe it. What is it saying? What is it bringing up for you? And I don't want you to judge it. I just want you to observe. And with that, we'll start to see that there is a conditioning or a programming around this word that actually invokes an emotion for us. And that emotion is just an example of what we have been talking about for just over an hour, is observing what is coming up for me based on my past experiences around the word naked. So is there a pain body there? What is it saying? Which part of your body is it showing up in? And if there's a trauma, it can actually be healed. And the way to do that is to shine the light on it by saying, hey, I see you. I hear you. I acknowledge your presence. And I want to work with you so that it no longer takes power over you, over me. So the word naked has many meanings, and we have been socially conditioned for it to be taboo. It captures people's attention, and since a lot of my coaching is based on reprogramming your brain, it only seemed fitting. We come into this world naked, raw, innocent, pure. That is the essence of you. That is what I want to capture. Before you started identifying by your name, your social status, your job title, etc., you are not your name. You are not your job. You are not your relationship status. You are not your financial status. So what I'm saying by that is I help people, I guide people on tapping into that, understanding their pain body, embracing their pain body, seeing their pain body, and working with that pain body and connecting them more to their divinity, more to their higher self. So that's the journey that I take people on with my coaching practice. And that's not to say that my name doesn't matter. It's not to say that my job title doesn't matter. It's not to say that any of those things are not a piece of me on this journey, but it's just the t-shirt. It's not actually who I am. It's just a part of that t-shirt, and that t-shirt can be removed. It can be washed. I can write new things on it. I don't have to be a love coach for the rest of my life. You know, people get stuck in these confined forms of their title. You know, sometimes people lose their identity when they become a mother because they think that they're only a mother.
That's a part of conditioning too, right?
Right.
Yeah, they are bothered by, degrees and, work, all that.
Yeah. One of the messages that I wanted to leave everybody off with, which was along with the topic that you were speaking to, is to allow for that gestation period. And what I mean by that gestation period is, this is just a tag on to what you were speaking about, is to allow for that, be patient with the timeline. There's no end result. Like even in a pregnancy, it takes 10 months for us to meet this infant. There's a gestation period. There's an evolution that happens from this fetus to the infant. And it is alive at all stages, but very, very different at all the different stages. And so just like that, even an avocado apparently takes 9 months to become an avocado and the fruit that we eat and we enjoy. If you're going to the gym, you don't, or you're running a marathon, you don't just wake up and you show up. There's a gestation period. There's a period in which we put energy towards something, and then we have the end experience, which is running that marathon or whatever it is. And the same thing on our journey to enlightenment. So it is a journey, and allow and be patient for that gestation period and keep moving in motion towards it.
So nothing is a practice of, fortnight stuff. You need time, you need growth, you need evolution. Overall, more than everything, it is patience. Especially the spiritual goals take time.
Yes.
Because we have to be very conscious about what we are doing. Thank you, Nadika, one more time. Thank you. Thank you, our listeners. You've been with us for more than 1 hour now. I hope that you've been learning a lot from Nadika. If you want to contact Nadika, you can contact her website. Contact her through her website, that is Naked Love Coach. I'm not trying to market her, but I'm trying to tell you that she's an important piece in terms of spirituality. She can guide you if you have things that she was explaining to us, and hopefully that she can come back again to another discussion a few more times, depending on your free time. And if you find matching topics about spirituality. Okay, thank you so much, listeners, watchers, followers of Padisota. We'll meet you with another episode of Dhammapariyesanā. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.